What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. This video is basically a recap of the tournament I had yesterday. It was the SAF 2016 Iowa State Championship tournament. It was one day, and it was on the Mississippi River around by Prairie du Chien. We launched in McGregor, Iowa, and yeah, to be completely honest, we got our butts kicked. We caught 2 keepers all day. I caught both those keepers. It's a partner tournament. My partner had 1 fish that was just short, and other than that, we didn't have anything going for us at all. We caught 3 fish all day. It was tough. It was very tough. It was on the Mississippi River, and we live in the Des Moines area. I'm not sure if you know about, or if you guys know like the Iowa layout, but we're in the middle of the state, and then the Mississippi's on the border, and the only place around here that we could like really practice for the Mississippi is the Des Moines River or the Raccoon River, and neither of those even come close to comparing to the Mississippi. That thing's huge. There's just no comparison. We made a 30 mile run to a place called Bussey Lake. It's a little backwater lake. It's full of scum, docks, stuff like that. And me personally, and this is just kind of the structure of the tournament, that it's a partner tournament, I feel if I was alone, I could have caught a limit in Bussey Lake alone on frogs. And I'm sure my partner feels that he could have caught a limit on rocks or on riprap of smallies alone. But having us 2 and having our conflicting strengths, which is what makes a team, is having those different strengths and weaknesses, and you should be able to balance it out. It was 2 completely opposite ends of the spectrum, and it was hard to balance. So I caught 1 keeper flipping wood with the Senko, and I caught 1 on a frog. And we weighed in 4 pounds, and the winners had 14 pounds. And this was Iowa. The Iowa championship is very small. It's super small. There was 4 boats, and we got 3rd place. Should have got 4th place, but we should have got dead last, just being honest. But the team that got last, they ran out of gas, and so they were way late, and I'm assuming they got disqualified. I don't know. It doesn't do any good for them to get disqualified, but I'd assume that they would have, because if you're over 15 minutes late, then you're disqualified. And I think if you have like boat issues, I think there's some lenience, but in my opinion, running out of gas isn't really a boat issue. It's just a time management thing, and just not paying attention to your gas. But I had a lot of fun. It was a good experience. We're only sophomores. Well, we'll be juniors this next year, but we were sophomores this year, so we still have 2 more years of this state championship. To be honest, it didn't compare to any of the other tournaments I fished in. Like, it really wasn't very professionally run, in my honest opinion. They didn't measure the fish at the weigh-in, and there was a couple of fish that were close. Again, I'm not like complaining, because we caught 4 pounds and the winner had 14. And I'm not gonna, even if all their fish were short, they would have got disqualified and they would have had negative 5 pounds or whatever. But the 2nd place team would have beat us by far. But they didn't measure fish. They didn't have weigh-in bags. They just put them right in the basket there. I don't know. It was a fun time, and I understand that we're in Iowa, so we're not going to get like the most professionally run, because we had 4 boats. In Florida and like down south, and I'm assuming like California and stuff, it's a lot bigger and a lot more professionally run, because there's more boats. But I just hope next year that we can do a little better than we did this year, get in the top 10%, which in Iowa means winning it, and moving on to regionals. That's how this whole deal works. You go state. If you get in the top 10% of state, you move on to regionals. Top 10% of regionals, you go to nationals. And then there's World Finals too, and I don't know about the World Finals, so I'm not going to try to talk about them because I don't want to lead you guys in the wrong direction. But if this interests you, and I know this is how I got into it, I saw some YouTube video, Kicking Their Bass TV, and I think Andrew Flair. And so I went on the website, it's highschoolfishing.org, all one, highschoolfishing.org. And then you go to you go to tournaments. There's a little tab right here. You go to tournaments. It'll pull down. It'll be state tournaments. You click on that. You scroll down. You find your state, and then depending on when you guys view this, I mean, if I did that right now, it'd just show. It'd only be the 2016 ones. 2017 aren't in yet, and it would just show that we got dead last. So, but if you're watching this in like the winter time or like next spring, you would probably have your tournament in already, and then you just register, and it's like $25 for your first time. You register. You gotta have a boater. I should mention that you have to have a boater, even if you're 18. You still have to have a boater. I'm only 15, so I mean that wouldn't apply to me, but you need a boater. You need a partner. You need 2 fishermen, 2 high school fishermen, so 9, 10, 11, 12th grade. You just can't start college. And then each team can have 1 7th and 8th grader on the team. So if you're in a school, like I go to a big school. I mean, we had like 700 kids in our class. That may not be big for you guys, I'm not sure, but I go to a fairly big school from what I'm familiar with. And honestly, besides Zach, which is my partner, I couldn't think of anyone in my grade that I would take that's committed enough and like actually likes bass fishing as much as we do. So if you have some like 7th or 8th graders and you're in high school, you could bring one of them, but you just can't have 2 7th graders. Read the rule book, and yeah, just here's some basic tips that I have for you guys. So we learned about where we're going to be launching from and what stretch of the river we were going to fish in winter, and we got that information, and I went on Facebook. I went to Iowa Bass Anglers, talked to some people on there. I figured out I had a game plan in winter, and we practiced the day before the tournament. So we practiced 2 days ago, caught 3 keepers, I think, and honestly we were kind of confident because we did not fish hard 2 days ago at all. We fished some key spots, we'd caught a keeper, and then we'd leave because we didn't want to fish them out. And it just didn't happen. We just couldn't make it happen the actual tournament day. And even if we would have caught a limit, based on the quality of fish that we were catching, we would not have won. But yeah, it was just rough. So some things about you guys or some tips. Don't try to adapt. You need to be able to adapt to bass fish, but don't completely change your entire, like, don't go away from your strengths just because of the place you're fishing. So an example of this would be like, let's say you're a power fisherman. I mean, that's what you do. You power fish. You fish crankbaits, spinnerbaits, chatterbaits, up shallow, you flip, you fish frogs. Say you go to some place and you're talking to people and they're like, oh, this is a finesse lake. And you're like, oh, what is a finesse lake? You're like, what is even finesse? So you go to the store, you're like, we need some finesse baits. I mean, obviously you've heard of them if you're bass fishing, but you're not a spinning rod kind of guy with 6-pound fluorocarbon. You like, a bait caster, braid, fluoro, whatever, just power fishing. So you pick up a spinning rod, you pick up some 6-pound fluoro, you pick up some shaky heads, some stuff like that. And then you go out there and you're like, I've never even done this before in my life. So you start fishing and it just doesn't feel right. So, and when you fish without confidence, it's not going to be very good because you need to be able to have confidence that what you're doing is right for you. So even if I were to go to a place where like finesse baits rule, I would have a couple practice days before and I would try to catch them on power fishing and up shallow because that's what I'm comfortable with. I'm not going to go out there right away and fish shaky heads, blah, 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 yada, yada, drop shots, and try to adapt, try to change myself to that area. Now, if you go out and you power fish, or if I would go and power fish, didn't catch anything, I'm talking to people at the launch saying, yeah, we just ripped it on drop shots today. Well, then I'm going to have to change. But you have to try to fish your strengths before you adapt. You have to try to fish your strengths before you change yourself to something that you're not to try to win the tournament. Um, the internet is a huge source of information, right? So you find your body of water that you're fishing, go on Google Earth, look it up. I was on Google Earth looking at this river probably every day for like 2 months, looking for spots. And that's kind of sad looking back on it now, that I dedicated a lot of time to this, a lot of time to looking at maps and talking to people, and it just didn't work out. But hey, that's fishing, right? It's not always going to work out. And really for me, the way I was thinking about it is that this is like the biggest tournament of my life. This is like the biggest day of fishing in my life. And it's really not the case, guys, because high school fishing is huge. I mean, if you win nationals, if you win state, if you win regionals, you could probably get a scholarship to fish somewhere and get some sponsors and whatever, be on pro staffs. But really, for me in Iowa at least, just regular tournaments, I felt were more put together professionally, that got me more like exposure, and just I had more fun at them. So don't like tense up. Don't like be so tense in this that you're like crying if you miss a fish. It's just fishing. You just gotta go out and you gotta catch 5 fish and hope that you have the heaviest 5. Now, we caught 2, and we went into weigh-in knowing that we weren't gonna win and we weren't gonna move on, and that bummed us out. But it's not like we quit. I mean, we fished until 2 o'clock. We fished until we had to leave, and we just couldn't get it done. I had one fish at 8 o'clock, and I had another fish at 9 o'clock, and then we went the rest of the day without a fish. My partner caught one short one, but it doesn't do us any good because it's short. And it's just rough. But you gotta keep your head in it, and you gotta understand that it's not everything and that there is a next year. And if you're a senior and there isn't a next year, then it's just high school, right? It's just high school. Go on to college. See if you can fish college. If you can't fish in college, fish some open tournaments around. Just look up team tournaments. Get yourself a little buddy that wants to fish with you. Keep fishing. If you fish hard, you're going to go places. And you don't need the fanciest equipment. The team that won, yeah, they had a lot of rods on deck. But I was looking over there and I was like, dang, those aren't like top of the line stuff. And their boat wasn't that nice. They just knew how to fish that river. They fished it before, they'd won it before, and they just knew how to fish. Experience is a lot. And no, we fished a third. In the last 2 days, we fished a third of the time. We fished 16 hours and 48. And I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface of what the river is. So experience is key. We're in baseball, so we couldn't practice fish for a whole week before, but if you can, try to talk to your parents, try to convince whoever your boater is to fish that practice hard. You need to have a solid plan to go out there, that if your first plan doesn't work, you have plan B. If that doesn't work, you have plan C. All the way down. You need a ton of areas to fish. We had like 2. And the thing is, we caught both keepers in one of those areas. The second one didn't work out, and then we're like, crap, then we just junk fished. And you don't want to junk fish on a tournament. That's practice day. That's messing around. You want to have a game plan, and you want to be able to stick to that. This is a long video, and if you guys stuck around for this long, thank you. Comment down in the comments what you guys want to see in future videos. I'll probably be doing some how-tos and stuff. I like doing those. I'm going to be cleaning out my page and deleting stuff and making new stuff. So just comment down below what you want. Alright, catch you guys next time. Thanks.